Sup? I think we're live. Still getting used to this if it says we're live. Yeah, looks like we're live. Cool. Sup? Welcome back to Code Unlocked. Welcome to episode 2. We are going to go into my story, who I am, what I used to do, what I used to be, and what I do now. I know a lot of people, if you know me, if you're a close friend of mine, and I interact with you on a daily basis, or you know me from the gym, I coach your class, whatever it is. A lot of people know my story, know where I came from. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of people don't know my story. Like, only if you know me as a close friend, or, we've talked kind of deeply, then you might not know that. That being who I am, where I came from, why I do CrossFit, why I'm a CrossFit coach, things like that. And so this is kind of my story, who I am, what is Code Unlocked. Obviously not like the podcast in general, but why I feel like I can give value to people and what I bring to the table as a CrossFit coach, as a friend, as a podcast host now, I guess, which is kind of funny to say. So my story, well, not going to go from like when I was born or anything like that, but basically I've always been a big gamer. Video games. I mean, I played video games since I was a kid, always been into big video gaming with friends, playing like World of Warcraft. That was always my game of choice. And that kind of started, when I was a kid. We still did things outside of playing video games, right? Like, I was just talking to my buddy Travis about this a couple days ago. Like, he had mentioned that, like, he didn't play any video games as a kid. And I was like, well, what did you do? If you didn't play video games, what'd you do? And he's like, he basically went into, like, his bike was his life. And they were always, outside with friends. And I did those things too, right? Like, we would go. There's always that funny little saying that if back in the day in the 90s and like early 2000s, how do you know where all your friends are is look in front of the house in your neighborhood that has all the bikes on the parking lot, on the lawn or in the garage or on the driveway. Right, so I did the same thing. We would ride bikes and we'd hit jumps and we'd ride motorcycles, dirt bikes, scooters. I was really big into BMX actually. Like, speaking of bikes, used to race BMX. I was decent at it too. I was the 8 or 9. I won the Redline Gold Cup, which was like a pretty big race. It wasn't as big as like Grands and stuff, if you know what BMX is, or Worlds, but I was decent at it for especially being a kid. But then, anywho. So that's kind of where it started, but we would bike all the time, right? We would hang out with friends. But then when it was time to go inside because it's dark out or whatever it may be, we would all go back to our houses and we would play video games. And that was like our way to stay connected even though we weren't hanging out anymore, right? So we'd go back and we would play. I guess, man, this is even before like Xbox Live when I had my first Xbox. But we'd go back and we would play video games, or I'd play video games by myself, or I'd play them with my brother. Right, it was like, just the constant thing to do when we weren't playing outside or when we weren't riding bikes. So that's kind of where it started, and then obviously it evolved, as I was saying, like with getting your first Xbox. I still remember getting my first Xbox. Kind of funny story on that. I had to trade in all of my. Oh no, that was for Xbox 360. No, what was that? Yeah, that was for a 360, I think. I just remember trading in all of my current games, like maybe PlayStation games or Game Boy games, to GameStop. And anyone that's ever done that, if you ever like took something in to get value for it back, they don't give you shit. I would turn in. I remember we took all these games in to get an Xbox, I think is what it was, maybe an Xbox 360, whatever it was. My dad took me to the mall and I was so stoked, and we had all these games that were over, I want to say maybe over $500 worth of value back then. Right, and we're like, oh, I'm gonna get my Xbox like basically for free, and they give you some ridiculously low number, like, yeah, we'll give you $100 for all this, and like the Xbox was $500 or whatever with the game and controller, $400. Anywho, so that's kind of where it started, right? So we would play, do things, but then we'd go home and we'd hop online, get on Xbox Live. We'd play Halo together. That was like my first big game until I got a computer. But anywho, we see the theme here, right? We would do things, but then when it was time to go home, hop on and stay connected with your friends. And we play until 2 a.m. all night, right? Or as late as we could until we were, or while we were younger, obviously, couldn't stay up till 2 a.m. when I was 8 or 10. But that was like the common trend. It got later and later as we got older, started having sleepovers. We would do things during the day, and then we'd all go back to my house, and we would play Halo or World of Warcraft until 6 a.m. Like, we wouldn't sleep. Like, when we're 13, 14, that's kind of where you didn't. And on special occasions, right, my parents were cool, or whoever's parents were cool with staying up all night. Like, it was just like, oh, it's a birthday party, so we're going to have a sleepover, and actually no one's going to sleep. So, big gamer, and that was always the theme. Going into, like, high school, that carried on. I got a computer. I found some other friends that then played World of Warcraft. So Halo 2 was like our game. We played Halo, Halo 2, and Halo 3. This is like 8th grade, 9th grade, sophomore year, Halo. But on the side, and when I wasn't playing Halo, I'd be playing World of Warcraft. And the people that I played Halo with would also be playing World of Warcraft with me on the side too. It was like this like back and forth. Or some of them wouldn't play World of Warcraft. A lot of them only played Halo. But if you played both, I slowly started drifting away from Halo. I was like, no, this like World of Warcraft, this is amazing. This is cool. And then other games too. Dabbled in things, Diablo, I guess. Actually, shout out to Diablo. That was like my first step on to PC gaming, other than like World of Warcraft. But so that was a common theme, right? I'd be at school, and school was easy for me. I didn't hate it. Like, I actually enjoyed school. I like learning things, but it was easy. I was just on cruise control. I was there to just get it done. I wasn't a bad kid. I paid attention. I did my homework, but I was just there to just pass, right? And it was like, it didn't challenge me, or I didn't like necessarily try to challenge myself. I just kind of was like, oh, I'm going to show up and I'm going to get good grades. And I got like an honors diploma with like not even trying. It was just like kind of happened. All these things, right? And it's like, nope, I just wanted to get out of school, go home, and play video games with my friends, play World of Warcraft. It was like and it's all we talked about too. It's kind of funny. We would go sit in class, and I would either not have class with the people I played it with, actually, because they were a bit older than me. That was another thing too, as I generally hung out with older kids. I didn't hang out with a lot of people from my grade, and not because there was anything wrong with them or whatever. I don't know, we had different interests. And I would say that I was like friends with everyone, or like, I wasn't enemies with people. I was just there. Everybody knew who I was. I knew who everybody was, but it wasn't like, oh, Cody's so popular, or oh, Cody is the kid everybody hates. It was just like people knew me and I knew them, and it was like whatever. But I hung out with older kids. I don't know why, just because actually the only reason why I was not the only reason, but they just happened to be older, but they played World of Warcraft. So I'd go through class, and then all I constantly would think about was getting home to play, and get home, play all night, wake up, go to school, think about playing, get home, play. Like, it's this, this vicious cycle, right? And when I'm talking about it, it sounds worse than it was. Like, it might have been, it was bad, right? Like, being addicted to this stuff, but it wasn't like, I wasn't lacking, or I wasn't letting it destroy my future per se, right? Like, I still got good grades, things like that. But it was this constant, that's all I cared about, right? Come senior year, now I have like off campus, so it was even better, right? Because then I could get off. I had 2 classes a day. I would leave school at right before lunch, 11:30 or whatever it was, go home, play for a couple hours. But then this is also when I started working. So it was like, my mom was like, all right, you are 16 now. This is when I started working when I was 16. So I still worked back in sophomore year, but it was like, okay, you have a car now. You have to pay for your own gas. I'm not paying for your gas. And if you get a speeding ticket or any sort of ticket, I'm taking away your car. Like, it was very disciplined, right? So I still had to work to pay for my things. And if I wanted to pay for gas, or I wanted to pay for my World of Warcraft subscription, whatever it may be, I had to work for it. So worked since I was 16, but senior year, get out of school at 11:30 before lunch, go home, play games or something, take a nap, and then I go to work at 2:30. I used to work at Winco, the Winco Foods on Northtown. It's my first job. Shout out Winco. I was the cart kid until I was 18, because you had to be 18 to work inside. So I started when I was 16, so I had to work outside, right, doing carts. Pretty cool job, pretty fun, but if you've ever been to that Northtown Winco, you know it's not the best place to shop. But anywho, so I would work until I work 3 to 11, or it was 2:30 to 11, something like that. So I worked all afternoon and all night. Come home, go to sleep, go to school for a couple hours, come home. So now it became like I was working more, right? I was working a lot, which was cool. I thought about built good work ethic. I had money to do things that I wanted to do, pay for my gas, whatever it may be. And then it was like senior year passed by. I was supposed to go to Sacramento State computer science program. That was where my uncle lived. I was going to move in with him and my aunt, and that's where he went. And he was a big influence on like my college, not in a bad way. None of my family went to college, and I was going to be like the first one other than my uncle to go. And so then I was going to move down there, but then they had this weird thing where you had to be a resident for a year to go to university. And so I couldn't go to Sac State. I would have had to go to community college. And so I pulled out last minute right before like admissions would have been for, what would that have been? 2012. Yeah, right before first semester of 2012. So, and then I applied to UNR really quickly. I think it was like a 2-week process, or like a 2-week process, but from applying to getting accepted to then doing orientation, and then school started like the next week. It was like the latest one. I barely made it. I would have been so devastated if it didn't happen, because then I'm like, well, I fucked myself because I didn't get to go to Sac State because I didn't get to live there. I could have went to community college, but now I came back to Reno, and now I have to go to TMCC, which then defeated the whole purpose of me leaving, because that's the same thing as community college. So it all just worked out. But anywho, ended up going to UNR and started college in the fall of 2012. And of course, while this is all still happening, still gaming, right? Still playing World of Warcraft. Actually, a lot of during this time. This was when Diablo 3 came out, but still playing a lot of video games. And then this is kind of where things started to get a bit more unhealthy, I would say. Maybe a little bit later, but then it was like, okay, so college, I didn't know what to expect, and it was harder than high school, right? It was like, okay, I actually have to focus and try. Like high school was like, I don't have to try, I just like get by and still get good grades without trying. Now, if I'm going to be paying all this money for school, I'm not going to fuck it up and get bad grades, blow all this money for no reason. So I need to try, and I want to get good grades anyway. Like, I liked being a good student, and I liked school, and I enjoyed it too. It was fun. So it's not like I hated being there. I actually really liked going. It was cool. You hang out with your friends every day. You meet people. But I had to start trying. So I couldn't play as much, but I still wanted to. Still did. And then I met my newest friends from college, and they were all gamers, right? You just kind of find the people that you have the same interests with. And they ran a video game club on campus, Nevada Esports. Shout out Nevada Esports. Logan, Johnny, Ian, Jordan, Nima, all my OG college homies. Anywho, they ran this gaming club called Nevada Esports, and I was like, dude, this is fucking sick. Like, I found some cool kids that I want to be friends with. We all play video games. Not only that, they have this club on campus where like we could all get together and talk about games, or we can have LAN parties where we all play together, or we run events where people, we host competitions where you show up and you play a 5 versus 5 against the other team and you win prizes, right? It was sick. So that's where that started. Kind of transitioned my gaming focus to League of Legends. That was kind of our focus for Nevada Esports. We did a lot of League of Legends tournaments, things like that. But still gaming, still doing that. And then that went on for a couple years. Then I became vice president of Nevada Esports. Kind of ran things on the back end, but also on the front end. But a lot of hosting events and logistics, hosting, Break the Internet, which was this one of the biggest events I think you and I had ever seen up until that point, may still have been. We rented out or borrowed the student union, took up one of the entire ballrooms, and had, I don't know, maybe definitely over 100 people, maybe 200 people, all with their own computers or their own setups if they were playing Smash Brothers or if they were playing League of Legends or they're playing Counter-Strike. Like, it was just this all-night thing. Anywho, going a little bit kind of too into detail, but that's kind of where that started. And then so this is the point when it got out of hand. This is when I started noticing like my health was becoming going down the drain a bit. It was becoming a bit detrimental. My meals were so I moved in with my college roommates, and it was like, and I was working a lot too. So then I left Winco. I went to the valet at the Atlantis. And it was like, so I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not graveyard, but super late swing shift, 3 to 11 or 5 to 1. And so then I would get home at 1:30 a.m., play games, eat dinner until 4, and then sleep until 12. But my meals were basically fast food every single meal. Like I would get Taco Bell, I would get Jack in the Box, drink a bunch of sodas, energy drinks. And like when I say I was eating fast food for every meal, like it was every meal. And if it wasn't fast food, it was frozen chicken from Walmart or frozen Red Baron pizzas from Walmart or, chips, like just, this unhealthy shit that you would think of, if you're a gamer or if you think of what a gamer eats, that's what I'm eating. And I'm drinking Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and Monsters. Just this unhealthy cycle, but I was able to like stay ahead of it, I guess, just because being younger or, in my metabolism, whatever it may be, or still riding my bike, when I was a kid, whatever it may be, I was kind of staying ahead of it. Now I'm not doing anything. I'm running at the valet, but like your body gets used to that, right? So it's like not doing anything different. And the running was very little. Like, you run across the street to get a car and that's a fucking 30-second run at a moderate pace. So I wasn't able to stay ahead of it anymore, right? And I'm starting to gain weight, starting to affect my mind, starting to become unhealthy, and just like in this bad state. Like I wasn't happy, right? Then we get to graduation of college, 2016. So it's a 4-year span of gaming, Nevada esports, things like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to graduate in 4 years. Perfect. Everything was fine. I got good grades. There was never any issues there. I didn't change my major. Stuck with computers all the way through, graduated, and then I had found one of my ex-girlfriends, right? And so we had lived together. We dated for, I think it was 2 years or so. But it was just like this unhealthy relationship where it became super unhealthy. And all this other stuff continued with the gaming, the bad diet, partying a little bit too, like drinking some alcohol, not crazy or anything, but like partying too on top of everything, just like this compounding effect of not healthy things and no exercise, right? Literally didn't lift weights, didn't do anything. This was just all bad shit. Anywho, then me and my ex had broken up, and that put me in like this really bad spot. Like we lived together. I had to move out. I moved back in with my parents. And then like that was like the turning point. I was like, I'm fucking tired of feeling this way, tired of feeling like shit. I'm depressed. My mind is just like telling me bad things, and you're just not in this bad place. And it was like this compounding effect before, where like I felt this way, but the only way to escape from it was to then continue what I was doing, right? So it's like, this like, it's almost like, I can't speak on it, but like a drug addict or an alcoholic, right? The only way to get rid of that feeling is to then drink more alcohol or do more drugs. And my alcohol or my drugs was playing video games and eating fast food and all this bad shit. So it's like this constant cycle, right? Feel better by doing it, but you don't actually feel better, which puts you in this bad state. Anywho, that was the turning point, right? So we broke up, and I was like, I gotta fucking make a change. This is my chance. This is like a fresh start, almost like clean slate. Wipe this off, and we're gonna figure this shit out. So This is now, let's see, just to give you a timeline, end of 2017, right into 2018. Okay, so I worked at the Valet. That's how I met Alex. I've talked about Alex many times. Like I said, if you know me, you know this story. But if you don't, Alex Fico, Fiki, a rapper. People know him as a rapper in Reno. Doesn't rap anymore, whatever. But shout out Feeks for basically taking me under his wing. And, I mean, no other way to say it. He changed my life, right? He literally changed me from who I was into who I am now, all because of me reaching out to him. So I worked with him at the Valet. That's how I met him. We were friends. And he was always this like buff guy, right? And like not like holy shit, he's a huge bodybuilder or something, right? But you could just tell he worked out. You could tell he lifted weights. He had big arms and stuff. And I always noticed that. And I was like, a couple years before, or just always, I was like, damn, like I would like to look like that. That's cool. And that actually goes back to a point is I knew deep down that I hated the way I looked, right? Like I hated that I would look in the mirror, and I didn't like looking in the mirror because I didn't like what I would see. And I would always wear like oversized shirts or sweaters. I would wear a sweater in the fucking summertime because I didn't want to see my stomach popping out of my shirt, and I would try to cover it up by wearing an oversized sweater, wearing a sweater when it wasn't fucking cold, and I was dying sweating because of how hot it was, but I would do it because it was the only way to kind of hide that. Anywho, so I noticed that, and I reached out to Alex. I was like, dude, I don't know exactly what I said, but it was basically like, hey man, I want to start getting to the gym or lifting weights, like, can you help me out? And it was like, I want to say it was like almost instantaneous that he was like, yeah, come over and like, let's talk. So I come over that day, maybe the next day. I don't know the exact timeline, maybe that night or whatever it was. Come over to this house now that I actually currently lived in when he lived here. We sat down in his room, and he wrote out what his days were. So this is back when he only did bodybuilding. So Monday he would hit chest and tries, Tuesday back and buys, Wednesday shoulders and legs, take a rest day, and then do it again or whatever it is, And he listed out, okay, here's what I do. I hit bench press, and then I hit banded tricep extensions, and then I hit dumbbell flies, and then I hit dumbbell bench, whatever it is, right? Listed this out Monday, boom, Tuesday, boom. Gave me this piece of paper, said start taking notes, like when you go, you're going to follow this. I was like, all right, cool. I'll figure it out. And then once we went through that notepad, 30 minutes, an hour, talked about things, asked some questions, we rode together to the Walmart. This is right after we drove together to Walmart, and he took me grocery shopping for the food that he ate. He's like, okay, I ate this chicken, I ate this, this rice, this for snacks. I eat these fig bars. Like I can remember this. I eat bananas, I eat apples, and it was just it's just crazy that he did these things. So I bought everything he told me to buy. He'd say, okay, I'd eat this for breakfast. I would eat this for lunch. I'd eat this for dinner, whatever it may be. Boom, boom, boom. Bought those things. We go back home. I drop him off, say thanks, and then went to the gym the next day or started at Anytime Fitness the next day. So then that was like the start of everything, right? And then so things started getting better. I would go to the gym, 3-4 times a week, kind of easing into things or learning things. But then it wasn't completely changed yet. I was still partying a little bit on the weekends, which was way better than it was already. I wasn't doing nearly as much, so I was already a gain, but it still needed to be dialed down a bit in order to see the results I wanted. I weighed, so some metrics here. I weighed, I want to say over 200 pounds. I want to say maybe 205. I don't know the exact number. I wish I might be able to find some old stuff for you guys, but I want to say 200 pounds. Don't know my body fat percentage. Didn't have an in-body scan or anything like that. But I did an in-body scan when I first started at Double Edge, and I think it was 18. So we can assume that before I got to that point, I was probably around, definitely over 20, maybe 25 to 30 would be my range. So anywho, 200 pounds when I first started here. Boom, started lifting weights 3-4 times a week. And then I would text him updates, reach out to him once a week or whatever. Because then he didn't work at the Valet anymore. I still did. But I reach out to him and be like, hey, man, I lost 3 pounds. Or, hey, I PR'd my bench. I benched 135 today or whatever it may be. And he was always there to fucking support me and be like, that's awesome, dude. Give me encouragement, which is cool. And this went on for, I don't know, maybe let's say 8 months, I think. Yeah. January to August of 2018. And then maybe October. And then I remember I was at the valet still, and he came by one morning just to like say what's up because he didn't work there anymore. He stopped by from time to time to talk to everybody. And he pulls in and he's like, "What's up, man?" Like we talked real quick, and he was like, he tells me he just started at this place called Double Edge Fitness, and I was like, "Okay, like what's that?" And he's like, "It's CrossFit. You ever heard of CrossFit?" And I was like, "No, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is." He said, "Well, I really like it. I just started there. You should come by and give it a shot." And I'm like, "Fucking enough said." Like he already gave me all this guidance. I've already seen all this progress. Like of course I'm gonna listen to anything he says now. And so up until this point, or now, I've probably lost, I would say, I think I was at this point, I was 185, maybe 180. So I lost 15, 20 pounds or whatever, just from lifting weights, just from changing my diet, things like that. So I had saw some progress. So like, yeah, of course. So I went and signed up after work that day, stopped by South, met up with Joel. Joel did my intro. He knew I was coming because Alex had told him. And we talked about it a little bit. And we did a workout that same day in the intro. So the intros used to be you go through the tour and then you basically go through a Metcon. I want to say it was like 21:15:9 of calories on the assault bike, pull-ups and push-ups, something like that. And I remember Alex warned me about the intro. He was like, "Hey, you're going to do a workout at the end of this. Just be ready or be careful," or something like that. And I was like, okay. Like I didn't know what that meant. So then Joel gives me the intro. I do this workout, and I just remember thinking like, okay, Alex warned me. It was hard and it sucked, but I was like, is he gonna throw a kicker at me at the end of this workout? So like I do the 21:15:9, and he's like, "All right, now you're gonna do 100 burpees." And like in my mind, I'm like, "Fuck, is that coming?" So I was like, and I was dead after doing this workout. Right, it killed me. So I didn't know it was coming, and he was like, "Oh, that was it." And I was like, "Oh, fucking thank God." But that workout was hard. But the gist of it was I should have went a little harder, but I didn't. Not that it was easy, but I was worried that something else was going to happen. I didn't know if that was like common practice to just be told to, all right, after you do this, now you're going to do this. Like, and I was just going to do it. I'm not going to be a fucking bitch about it and like say, no, I'm not doing that. Like if you told me to do 50 burpees, I'm like, I guess this is part of it. You just do it. Anywho, did my intro, and then I signed up for a 1-month trial that Double Edge offered back then, and I fell in love with it. No, I guess I can't say I fell in love with it yet. It was awesome though, and I showed up every day for 2 weeks. Okay, because I had to go to BlizzCon. It sounds so fucking stupid talking about it now. BlizzCon is it's a convention. It's like anime. Or sorry, not anime. I don't know why the fuck I said anime. It's like Comic Con, where it's a convention where it's solely hosted by Blizzard, which is the company that runs World of Warcraft and Diablo, all those other games. And I was like, my trip's already booked. Like I'm going, and I'm still always going to be a nerd at heart. So anyway, I went to Double Edge for like 2 weeks, and then this happened right in the middle of my month trial. So then I went to that. And then I was like, well, once I get back, I'm just going to go back. But like my mind was playing tricks on me, and I was like, no, I don't want to be told what to do. I want to go back to doing my own thing. I just want to lift weights and like walk into the gym. And if I want to bench, I'm going to bench. But really, it was just me being a bitch and not wanting to go back to what was hard and to you have to do hard things. So I didn't go back. And then that year ends. So this is October. Okay. So then you go November, December. The end of January, something got back into me, and I was like, all right, I'm tired of this. I need to go back. So went back to Double Edge, signed up, and then that was when I was like committed. I think it was January 27th of 2019. I feel like I know that date exactly because like, it resonates with me. And then that was the start of where we are now. Which I'll get into some more detail, but that was when I started CrossFit. So just a little summary, right? I had only lifted weights for 8 to 9 months. I lost 15, 20 pounds up to this point. Starting CrossFit at like 180 pounds, 18% body fat. That's when I did that scan. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, right? Like I did that intro, I did those 2 weeks, but now it's like, all right, now we're going to learn things. And I think I came into it kind of as a natural, right? I mean, I lifted weights before. I never had done I did power cleans and weights back in high school, but we didn't do any snatching or anything overhead. And so it was just like, boom, just like anybody else, just full send it. And I went all in. I signed up that day, January, what did I say, January 28th, 27th, 2019, whatever I just said. I don't know how I lost it now. But I signed up that day, and then I think I changed my name to CrossFit Code like the next week. Which, if you know me, I go all in when I'm into something. So, anywho, changed my name to CrossFit Code, and like that was like, I'm not gonna not go in now. And then I started going, 4 or 5 times a week, being consistent. The Open came around, so I was in my second month of CrossFit. The 2019 Open came around, and oh man, did I just get clobbered. But I was so stoked to do the workouts. Like, I remember I took a photo of me holding my slip every single workout of 19.1 and doing 19.2, 19.3, 19.4, 19.5. And actually, just real quick, I want to pop CrossFit Open leaderboard. Just for fun, I'm going to pull up my old CrossFit Open because we can look at it, which I think would be kind of cool. Here we go. Athlete Cody Birch, CrossFit Games. Let's do this. Cool, here I am. I'm going to move. Sorry. I was not prepared for this. This was just on a whim. I'm going to move this over. Move this over. Looks like shit, but here we are. So here, 2019. I finished 96,076, so 96,076th place in the world. And my country was 44,310. Can you do percentiles on here? You can on the app. You can't do it on here. But I think this was like 52nd percentile when I checked on my phone or when I opened up the phone app. But anywho, 2019, boom. Finished there, and this was my first Open, right? I was 2 months into CrossFit, and that's what happened. And it was so cool. Like, I remember ripping the fucking shit out of my hands on 19.5, the 33 to down to 33, 27, 23, chest to bar pull up and thruster workout, whatever that rep scheme was, and I ripped the shit out of my hands. Sorry, I'm pulling it up right here. My mouse is so messed up. Why does it do that? Yeah, 33, 27, 21, 15, 9 reps per time of thrusters and chest to bar pull-ups. And I did this workout right beside Alex, actually. JP was filming us for like a fun video. And I got through, I think I only got through the round of 33, and then I got, I don't know, maybe 10 chest to bar. I guess I can pull up my score. I'll pull up my score here, but my hands were so fucking ripped that I couldn't grab the pull-up bar anymore. I mean, I'll post a photo so you guys can see at some point. But my hands were so ripped and so bloody that I couldn't grab the pull-up bar anymore because it just hurt so bad and I didn't want to. Here we go. 116 reps. Round of 27. I got 27 thrusters and 23 chest to bar pull-ups. So bad, but my hands were just fucked. But you can just see here my first Open, obviously, not good. 218 reps. I got 5 rounds plus 19 wall ball shots and 9 calories. I finished 119,000th place on that. And then I finished 103,000th on this. I can only do one double under at a time here. So that I didn't know how to do squat cleans. My squat clean, I grabbed the bar and didn't release my grip. It's just funny. This kind of go down memory lane. But here's my first CrossFit Open. And man, was it awesome. I didn't do good, but it was so fucking fun. And I try to reference this to people when people want to push back on signing up for the Open. They don't want to give their $20 to CrossFit or whatever it is. But it's just so cool to be able to look back at this now. And I haven't done this into this depth of my reps and things. But it's just bringing back all these memories of me doing it. And it's just, anywho, it's cool. So here's my first CrossFit Open 2019. And then, like I said, I was all in, right? So then did the Open, and then New Kids in the Box came around that July, so a couple months after this. And, we had done, a little seminar beforehand, which we now do which I now, am a part of as a coach for the people who want to sign up for New Kids in the Box, who are in my bought, a couple years ago. And so I did New Kids in the Box. I think I got like 10th or 11th place or something, but just, slowly getting better. And then, where was I working? At this point here, I was working still at the Valet. Yeah, I was just about to leave the Valet. And then I went to Apple. Yeah, so then I started at Apple. Okay, so I started at Apple in like August of this year, August of 2019. And, sorry, I'm just trying to piece this together. Started at Apple, and then that was kind of then the next step in my career, right? So started doing Apple stuff, repairs, things like that. And it was a good job. There's nothing wrong with it, but it just wasn't fulfilling my my needs, right? So then I always knew that I wanted to do something different after doing that for a little bit. Sorry, I'm just fixing this logo here. Wanted to do something different, and I was like, dude, like CrossFit is so fun, and I get to see the coaches change people's lives and coach people, and that like just sparked this thing in me that I wanted to then become a coach. And I remember JP and Alex, they have the Go to Bed podcast, right? So those are my old roommates, obviously. But they had me on for a show, for an episode of the original Go to Bed podcast. And it was basically an interview to go over what I'm telling you guys now. And I had mentioned, like, JP asked me, he was something like, so what do you want to do next? And I was like, I want to be a CrossFit coach. He's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, I think that would be so fun to coach and stuff. Well, then Derek, owner of Double Edge, heard that on the podcast because he listened to the show. And he texted me, I think maybe the next day. He said, you want to be a CrossFit coach? And I was like, yeah, how'd you know? And he said, I was just listening to the podcast. Like, let's sit down and talk. I said, all right. So I go into Double Edge, sit down and talk with him. And basically he was giving me the rundown, like, why do you want to be a coach? You have a pretty good career here. You got a lot of upward movement. Like it's not going to pay. It might not pay as much as you think it's going to, or as much as your upward mobility could be at Apple, things like that. And I was like, yeah, but I don't care. Like, this seems so fun, and I'm not happy where I am, and I think that this will bring me happiness. And I think that changed his mindset. And he was like, well, fuck, if this guy's serious about it, like, this is the kind of person that we want working for us. We don't want just some guy who's not sure about it. So then a couple months later, the level 1 came around. We hosted one at Midtown. Derek let me attend it to get my level 1. And then I got my level 1 in November of 2019. And then I just kind of sat on it. Which was fine. I didn't expect to have a job. And he, set those expectations. But it was like, I have it in my back pocket. If something ever pops up, I can coach, whatever it may be. So I went back to normal, didn't think anything of it. I just keep chugging along at Apple. 2020 comes around, COVID hits, all this shit. Still working out, obviously, working out at home, and then Double Edge opened back up. And then I get another text from Derek. If you know Derek, it's kind of like, sort of like, you get a text from him, and it's probably going to be like an all-in thing, like, and it was, right? So the first text being, you want to be a CrossFit coach? And then this one was, hey, I need you to start coaching, basically. It was the text. And I was like, what? Chase was going to go back to school, so he couldn't coach the 6:30 at Midtown anymore. So I went in, and we sat down and talked about it. He said, yeah, Chase is leaving, or he's taking a step back to go to school. I need a coach for 6:30. You're the next one up. You're on deck. You've been waiting. Let's do it. And it had worked out perfectly because now I was working from home at Apple, and I would work like 7 to 3 or something like that. So then I didn't have to worry about like getting off work early and scrambling to get to the gym. I had time, and I was at home, which was pretty relaxed, so I could like bounce back and forth if I needed to leave or something, like if I needed to coach at 12, which never happened, but if I did, it would have been there. So I'd work from home, 7 to 3, work out after, and then go coach the 6:30 at Midtown. Shout out to all my 6:30 OG homies that were in my first classes. That was fun. But coached the 6:30 for, let's see, that was in July of 2020 for 6 months. And then I remember getting another text from Derek like middle of December, early December, and it was basically another text like, you ready to start coaching full time? It's just kind of funny to talk about now because, like I said, when Derek texts you, it's like all in. Like it's like a big thing. And I was like, what? And so met up again, sat down with him and Jacob, and it was like, yep, Wes is leaving now. He's going to go to the police academy, become a cop. I need a full-time coach to take over his afternoon classes. I was already coaching 6:30, so it was like I just take over the 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, and then continue on with 6:30. And I was like, boom. Put in my 2 weeks to Apple right then and there. And then I started January 3rd or whatever it is, the first week of January when Wes was done and started the academy. And that is pretty much what brings us up to now. So then I started coaching full time. I coached the afternoons, all of 2021, all of 2022. No, I guess not all of 2022. Most of 2022. And then that was just when, things kept chugging along. I found my real passion in coaching while being full time. It was hard to do at just 6:30, or not necessarily hard to do, but you couldn't fulfill it too much with just one class. But like being at the gym all day and hanging out, which I love doing. Like I love just getting there, and I love being there. But I love being there, just hanging out, saying what's up to everybody, talking to people, and having a good time with them. So coached all of afternoons through 2021. Got my level 2 in February of 2022, so it's been a year now, level 2. And then Jess has just left. It's actually been almost a year now. Jess left to go teach in the Bay Area and be with her family. So she left last year, 2022, in August. And then I switched up from afternoons to mornings. Chase took my spot at mornings. And here we are today, March 8th, 2023, now as a CFL2 at Double Edge Fitness and loving every minute of it. So that's my story. Damn, that's kind of crazy after like taking it all in. When I hear myself talk about it, it's interesting. It's just kind of, I don't know, I haven't talked about it like that in a while, or like went into detail in it in a bit. So yeah, that's my story. I have some notes here. Next one, why CrossFit coaches a career. So I kind of went into that. It just fulfills something that I've never found that fulfilled me before. Like I've had a couple different jobs and they were fine. There wasn't anything that was like just like, fuck this. But there was anything that brought me the joy that coaching does now. I get to see people every day, which was a big part of it too. Like working by yourself and in a cubicle or whatever it may be, just wasn't. I thought that's what I wanted. Like being a gamer and like being at the computer. I was like, dude, if I love doing this for fun, like I want to do it for work. And no, not even close. I wanted to separate the two things. So seeing people, talking to them, having conversations, helping them, seeing people come in and fucking smash a PR on their lift, or just having a good time. They're there to just have a social hour and listen to music. I get to be a DJ. I get to cheer people on. I get to watch people do cool things and PR stuff and lose weight and feel better about themselves. And it was just like this, it's just this fucking amazing thing that I can't replace or like find somewhere else. So that's why CrossFit coaches are careers. I've never been able to find the joy and happiness that I have as a coach and as helping people get healthier and lose weight, right? And I've done that, so I know what it feels like. And to be able to watch people then do it or help them do it, like it's just this mind-blowing feeling that I guess until you experience it or you've done it yourself or you've seen it happen, it's hard to explain. But that's why CrossFit coaches are careers, my second note. And then my last one here is just what's next. Man, I don't know. Just continue doing what I'm doing. Right, I've got no plans to change that or whatever it may be, barring something that happens that needs to be changed. Like, I love doing what I'm doing. I love my life. I've met all my best friends from the gym. I met my fiance, my soon-to-be wife, here in the next couple months from the gym. Everybody I hang out with is from the gym. Like I owe everything to being a coach and the gym. And so it's like, what's next? Just continuing this on. Furthering my education, getting my level 3 at some point, becoming a better coach, developing more clients or getting, I don't know, just helping more people, I guess, is the better way to say that. Helping people reach their goals and lose weight or whatever it may be, just continuing on, but being better at it, being more efficient at it, doing things like this with Code Unlocked and the podcast, putting out content, why I can provide value, why I think people can listen to me and be like, oh yeah, like that's pretty cool that he does that, or he's got a good story or whatever it may be. Having you guys on here to speak with me and to hear your guys' stories, right? I guess all those things are what's next, and this is kind of the next evolution in that with Code Unlocked being the next step in how I can better myself, put myself out there, be a bit more vulnerable to you guys, and just kind of develop as a person, as a coach, as a human, and have fun with it, right? Here at the end of the day, if we're not having fun, what the fuck is the point? I tell people that all the time in class, like, if you're not having fun, then it's, then what's the point? Like, just because you come here and you crush a PR, like, did you have fun doing it? No. Okay, well then, like, let's go lighter. It's not all about fucking hitting a PR to hurt yourself. Or on the other side, like, if you're bummed that you didn't hit a PR, like, well, did you have fun? Well, yeah. Well, then fucking who gives a shit? Like, we do all this stuff for fun, right? To have a good time with our friends and with our community, and to work out for fun. At the end of the day, if you're not having fun anymore, then that is where you lose the value in it. And we need to take a step back, and like, maybe we're burnt out, or that's a whole nother podcast topic, but we need to be having fun. And I want to have fun with you guys on Code Unlocked and share your guys' stories. So I think that's all I have for you guys on episode 2 with my story. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. This has been awesome. I'm stoked to be here with you guys and hanging out. What are your guys' thoughts? Like, what do you guys think on my story, or what if you want to share your story? Like, I want to have guests on. So you think you have something similar, maybe completely something opposite? I don't know. It's something of value they want to talk about. Let me know. Leave me a comment. Leave me a review. Rate me. It'd be awesome. I would appreciate that. And let me know your guys' thoughts. Okay. Last thing. This episode was supposed to be about my air squats, right? So if you follow me on Instagram and stuff, I did 10 minutes of max air squats. Shout out to Andrew Hiller and Savon. I got that idea, I think, from one of them that started it, and they both did it, and I was like, this is sick. I think this is a great test. Anywho, this episode was supposed to be about that. Well, I couldn't fucking upload the video. It was giving me issues, so I've been uploading it now while I've been talking. So that'll be probably the next episode, assuming I can get it all squared away. And I want to talk about why I thought that was a great test, because I think it is a great test. And if you're listening to this now, you don't know what I'm talking about, go into the gym, set a clock for 10 minutes, and do as many air squats as you possibly can. Okay? It's just you'll see why it's a great test. But I think it's we'll go into detail. I'll leave you guys with that. Just do that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, 10 minutes max. You don't even go to the gym. You do this in your fucking bedroom. Do this in the living room. Set a clock for 10 minutes and do an air squat. An air squat all the way down, hip crease below the top of your knee, stand all the way up. Do it for 10 minutes, rest as needed or whatever it is, and then we'll talk about it on next episode. Thank you guys so much. Episode 2 of Code Unlocked. Thanks for listening to my story, and we will catch you guys on the next one.